Ooh, good kitty. Yeah. Happy December, friends and family. I'm going to once again be spending some time, my attention, in Big Bend National Park. So, in the last video that I recorded, I asked a question: have you heard of Big Bend National Park in Texas? A lot of people have heard about it, but not a lot of people really have seen it, have really seen the heartbeat of a place like Big Bend National Park. Not even I myself have seen the heartbeat of Big Bend National Park, unless you consider that over the years, I've seen everything that you can imagine out there, from raging rivers overflowing their boundaries, overflowing their banks, I guess. And what a way to have worded that, overflowing their banks. In today's world, Big Bend National Park is one of those places where you would be able to go and spend so much time concentrating that you would literally hear yourself think. I believe that with most of the people with whom I have had difficulty communicating, some people don't want to hear themselves think, because the way we can be thinking on the inside can sometimes be quite challenged or challenging. And so Big Bend National Park, for me, is one of those places that you can go for solitude. I believe we're in trouble in our ecosystems. I believe it so much that I want to call a timeout with my deep thinkers that are out there. I want my deep thinkers to hear what I'm saying and start to ask, is it possible? Is it possible that there are no new bugs on the windshield today over these hundreds of miles that I'm putting in? And is it possible that that anomaly is now becoming more commonplace? And if it is, then what the heck are we doing talking about all the other things for? I was watching someone learn to do headstands, and I thought, man, I'm going to try to do this while I'm out at Big Bend. I mean, I don't know, how far can I get? But the only way that I can get there is if I don't fear what will happen. And to not fear what will happen, I'll have to learn to be at peace. Little pieces of me on the inside continue to remember what it's like to be a child. So my health, it's pretty interesting. My health is something that has been quite successful until more recent times, when I began to interact with people that didn't resonate joy. That's not to say they couldn't, but in many cases, they would not. And if you're hanging out with people who are not resonating positive energy, like I'm describing, in a place like Big Bend, you isolate yourself from all of that as well. So if you're already in a place of joy, which I am, then all you're going to do is magnify that energy. When you go to a place like Big Bend, I strongly encourage you leave the Bluetooth behind. Leave all the gadgets behind for once. Sell them if you have to in order to afford your one-time opportunity to actually experience some nature that you may never get to experience again. If you are in a good place, if you can experience joy, and if you can set aside the fear, I'll tell you what you don't need to come to this place is a lot of money. All of these energy exchanges that we're experiencing are things that, if we try to put a monetary value on it, and a real world value on it, it doesn't compute. So I can't tell you what Big Bend is without showing you what it is. Picture this: Big Bend National Park. If you were into wildlife, this would be one of your favorite places to visit. Big Bend National Park has 3 completely different ecosystems, and they're all in the same proximity. And in those ecosystems are all of the wildlife for each of the ecosystems that they normally would inhabit. And then there's a crossover. You see interactions between wildlife that you never would have expected because of such of a diverse crossover. In the past, I would be overwhelmed with opportunities to bring you these moments in nature where I got to see wildlife. And the only thing that kept me from doing it was maybe my own skill level or the gear that I had with me. But as I've gotten down to a less and less gear mentality, I've found that I'm more at ease. And the more at ease I am, the more wildlife will want to interact with me. That exchange occurs because I want to see that cat. I love hearing it meow. In the same way I go to Big Bend National Park, hoping to hear the wildlife decide to engage in a conversation with me. Whatever your definition is of conversation, I challenge you to think about what empathy means. Imagine a toddler hanging out with a family pet. Imagine so many stories of toddlers lost in the woods, seemingly unharmed. And they'll tell stories of animals having come to their assistance. How many times have you seen something like that? I strongly recommend considering a place like Big Bend National Park when it comes to sharing your story with yourself, not with anyone else. For me, I'm only sharing it here because my father wouldn't have taught me this, not in his current state, and neither would hardly any of my adult role models. And so that leaves me to rely on myself while trying my best to help others to see that no matter what I'm talking about, the fact that we still haven't passed any other birds hasn't escaped me. And the amount of garbage is staggering. Here's a roadkill deer, by the way. Sometimes I hear that it's us who are manifesting the things. There's just traffic whizzing by all of this stuff. Tire pieces. That one roadkill deer that I'm talking about. No porcupines, no javelina, no buzzards on the horizon. Big Bend used to be a place where you could see all of that. You could see so much wildlife. And so again, for the purpose of just telling you a story, I don't know how to tell you the story without you actually having been there yourself. And I'm sure you all have been there. And that's the only part that really matters. Now that we know we're all going through this stuff together, the next question is, how do we treat one another? So until next time, I hope that all makes sense. Peace, love, and all that old school stuff.